This is the 18 Strong Podcast with Jeff Pellizzaro, episode number 12.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzaro.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you for coming back to the 18 Strong Podcast. Kind of a cool episode this time around. We've got two guys. This is our first dual interview, and we got two young guys from St. Louis that are doing some pretty cool things. One is Justin Bryant, who is currently a mini tour player, traveling around playing some different events, the swingthought.com tour, the Adams Tour, eGolf Tour, that kind of stuff. And then one of his good buddies, Van Pierce, who they were both college roommates, they played on the golf team together, I believe, in high school. And then, they kind of got back together in order to start a pretty awesome website called ProUKnow, which is a crowdfunding website for mini tour players and web.com players. Mainly a different way for these guys to raise money in order to play all the events that they play. And I think you'll be pretty surprised at, what the costs that they incur across over the course of the year as far as tournament entry fees and travel expenses and all that stuff. And so we get into a lot of that. We're going to talk about the mini tour life, the highs and the lows and everything that goes on. They tell some crazy stories about things that they've seen and have gone through. And Justin, of course, still playing on tour. And then, just how ProUKnow came about and what the ideals behind it are, and how they came up with this idea. And then, who are some of the big name golfers that are kind of backing and endorsing, I should say, this website, which is, guys like Webb Simpson. I saw Scott Langley tweeting about it not too long ago. And then they've got several of the players on their profiles on this website that are on the big break, and some other, I know they've got a lot of other names coming out there. So some pretty cool stuff by these guys. Before we jump into the episode, I want to again say thank you for the reviews on iTunes. I got a couple new ones here. I know we haven't quite even come close to the goal of 100 reviews, but we've got 25 reviews and 30 ratings on the podcast, which I greatly appreciate every single one. And I told you guys, if you throw out a question, I might be able to get to answer it on the air. And so I've got one here it's titled Awesome Show by Tetris Codes. And it says, I like how many different people of different talents Jeff gets on the show. Keep up the good work. Do you have any tips for when to refuel during a round? What do you consume and what not to consume? Thanks, and keep it up. Tetris Codes. Interesting name. Love it. I would say that, when you're on the course, obviously it's very important to stay hydrated. So water is going to be the first key. But, when it gets to be those super hot days and you're exerting yourself a lot, pretty much in any round of golf, you want to make sure that you're also just kind of replenishing the vitamins and minerals that your body's expending. So I wouldn't necessarily reach for the Gatorades, the Powerades, all the sports drinks, because it's been shown, I just think there's a lot of things, there's a couple things in those different drinks that, are just in there, some just for the coloring, some just for flavor, some for preserving them. So they've got a couple chemicals in there that aren't necessarily the greatest thing for you. And so I tend to stay clear from those completely. I know some people will recommend maybe diluting it with water, which can be okay, and as a last-ditch effort, go ahead and do that. But something that I learned from Robert Yang with TPI is put a little pinch of sea salt, Celtic sea salt, in your water, and that will help replenish your electrolytes. And don't make it where it tastes salty, but just give it a little pinch, and that will definitely help. And then also, it's not a bad idea to keep a powdered protein shake in a shaker bottle in your bag for those times where you're just kind of run out of gas a little bit, and just to stay not just hydrated but also fueled as far as macronutrients. So keep a shaker bottle with the powder, and then maybe at the turn fill it up with some water, shake it up, and you're ready to go. And then the last thing would be having some sort of branched chain amino acids drink, which you can find. You always want to make sure you get a high quality one. And one that I know a lot of golf fitness pros use and recommend to their clients is BioSteel, which you can, I believe it's biosteel.com, or if you want, go back to Allie Gilbert's page. We had her on the show a few episodes back. But go to 18strong.com and search for Allie Gilbert. And on her page, you can go through a link that actually I think is an affiliate link for Allie that, I'm sure she'd appreciate you helping her out, making a few purchases through there. But they've got some great stuff, and I know a lot of professional hockey players use it, a lot of professional golfers. So that would be an ideal thing to take on the course to help yourself refuel. So thanks again for tuning in. I know you're going to enjoy the show. These guys are great. They have some great stories about the mini tour and just some cool things that are going on. And I will catch you on the flip side. All right, everybody. I've got a couple unique guests here on the 18 Strong podcast, something a little different than what we've been doing in the past several episodes. Normally we talk fitness, we talk golf, we talk nutrition, mental game, that type of stuff. But I just got wind of a couple guys from St. Louis that are doing some pretty cool things in golf, not just in St. Louis, but nationally, and working with some of the mini tour guys and guys that are looking to make it at the highest level of the game of golf. And they've started a website called ProUKnow.com, which is basically a crowdfunding site for mini tour golfers to basically fund their efforts to make it to the PGA Tour. So I've got Justin Bryant and Van Pierce from St. Louis. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. We were talking just before we got on here, and we have a client of ours, a couple clients that you guys know through the golfing ranks here in St. Louis, and a couple guys making a go for it on the tours and everything. And got word from one of our clients, Matt Rao, about this new campaign that he was putting together, and I thought, man, that's kind of a cool idea. And then found out that there was this whole new platform behind this campaign. It's your website, ProUKnow, which we'll get into a little bit later in the podcast. I want to go a little deeper into that. But before we get started, Justin, I'm going to have you start. Give us a little background about you, what you're up to these days outside of the website, and then Van will jump in with you.
Okay, yeah. So I'm doing this website with Van, but I'm also playing professional golf, playing the mini tours right now. I played high school golf with Van and went on to play college golf at Wake Forest University under Coach Jerry Haas. Played there for 5 years. Actually broke my wrist my sophomore year, so I had to take a medical red shirt, but was kind of a blessing in disguise because got to be under Coach Haas for another year and learn under him. And now I'm playing professionally since 2012, and I'm just playing different mini tour circuits, kind of all over the country, mainly in the Midwest and kind of the southeast area.
And are you living here in St. Louis full time, or are you traveling here to other places, or
yeah,
as far as living wise?
Right. So kind of been a nomad the last couple of years, kind of just living out of the suitcase, but recently got married about 2 months ago. And my wife and I now are going to live in St. Louis and just kind of travel down to Jupiter kind of in the winter months to play some golf tournaments around there, but be based out of St. Louis for now. It's a great place to call home.
Awesome. And Van, how about you?
Yeah, I'm actually attending SLU Law School right now. I'm a 2L there, so I've been doing that for the past year and a half. It's been a great experience, but I went to law school never really planning to practice law, just more for the applicability of it. So I knew that I always wanted to be in golf still, and I used to play the mini tours as well for a little while. So I kind of wanted to bridge the gap between, my law school career, and then I was a business major in college. I went to Chapman University, but before that, I actually played football at Drake University. So I've kind of got a unique background a little bit, and when I transferred to Chapman, I then played golf for the last 3 years. So, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a real blessing starting ProUKnow with Justin, and it gives me a chance to still be back in the game of golf, even though I decided to stop playing on the mini tours.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, we're going to dive into ProUKnow quite a bit in a little bit. But first, for the audience, because the term mini tour, we're going to use that a lot, and depending on who's listening, I know we've got some guys that are playing mini tour stuff, some guys that are striving to be on the PGA Tour. We've got a lot of high-level amateurs playing the game, and then we've got a lot of people listening that are just golfers, and they may not know what the mini tours are or what that looks like and the things behind it. And Justin, as you and I were mentioning before the call, people they hear the term pro golfer, or somebody that's looking to make it to the big show, and they don't necessarily always have all the facts as to what's going on the mini tour. And a lot of people think pro golfer, and that's a cushy job, and everybody wants to be it. But give us a little insight on what it looks like to be out on the mini tour.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because no one really gets how someone gets to the PGA Tour. It's a common question I get. How do you get there? What are you doing? And so mini tours is kind of there's PGA Tour is kind of the highest level. And then the web.com tour is the feeder tour into the PGA Tour. It's kind of what you have to go through to get to the PGA Tour. And then below that, there's different tours, kind of smaller regional events. And now they're kind of merging and becoming nationwide. But, there are events where you're driving and you're flying and you're paying a big entry fee. To enter one of these events could be, upwards of $1,300. And you might not, if you miss the cut, you're spending $2,000 a week. And, if you're making the cut, you're kind of just getting back what you spent almost, unless you finish in the top 5 or so. So it's not glamorous by any means. You're living out of your car and, staying in motels, sharing rooms with guys and, watching your budget. It's a lot of fun. But it's not as glamorous as, the big guys, the big tour where you see flying private jets and all that.
I think we may have lost.
Hey, I'm back at it. Sorry. So, connection went wrong. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, man. I'd say live on the radio, but this is not going to be live. But it's going to be unedited. So, but that's just kind of how it goes when you're working with the internet. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Justin. I mean, people think big fancy jets playing for millions of dollars, but not quite the case. I can remember hearing a story, and actually I think I saw a video of this. It was a news story of a guy who was literally, he had his truck, kind of tricked out where it was basically a hotel room that he drove from tournament to tournament. He loaded up the back, had a bed in there, and had all his comforts of home, and basically he traveled from tournament to tournament, lived in that in between rounds, built a little campfire. And, he was good to go, but it's not necessarily the glamorous lifestyle that we all think it is. So how many, and Van, feel free to jump in too on any of these. I know Justin's out there kind of grinding it out right now, so he has a little more insight on some of this stuff, but what are the different tours that kind of qualify as mini tour events?
It's hard to keep track of because they all change. They kind of change names rather frequently. But they're the Hooters Tour, what it was known for a while, was sponsored by Hooters, and now it's the NGA Tour. And then about a month ago, it was bought, and I think it's now the golfthought.com tour.
Swing Thought. Yeah, okay. Swing Thought.
Sorry. So there's that tour, and I think they merged with the tour, the All American Tour. Is that the eGolf Tour? I'm sorry, I'm all mixed up myself. But so there's a couple tours. The eGolf Tour is based normally in Charlotte, North Carolina, but they've started branching down to Florida and down on the West Coast. They did great this year. A lot of players were playing in those. Then there's the Adams Tour, which is kind of based out of Houston. It's kind of in the Midwest. That's a common one. I don't know if maybe Van would know this, but the PGA Tour bought. It used to be the Canadian Tour and the Latin American Tour and the Asia or the China Tour. I don't remember what it was called before that. And now those are PGA sanctioned tours. So they're PGA Canada and PGA Latin America. And I would categorize those as mini tours. It's a step up because if you play well enough, you can earn world ranking points and you can get exempt into certain stages of Q school and you can earn your web.com status through there, but they're playing for very similar money than we would say mini tour events. So I would kind of consider that an upper tier mini tour. You have to earn your status on those tours versus some mini tours. You really just pay a membership fee of $2,000 or somewhere around there, and then each event you're paying probably between $900 or $1,300 an event versus the PGA Canada and PGA Latin America, those entry fees are much lower, $400, but your travel expenses are much higher because you're flying across the border and staying at international places, and there's credit card fees for that, and you don't really know where you are, and you kind of get taken advantage of if you're not careful. So I would kind of categorize those as the mini tours.
And what's a typical purse for an event? Let's say, just to pick one, like the Hooters, NGA, or Swing Thought, whatever it is now. What's a typical purse that somebody can win, and then how quickly does it drop off after that first place slot?
Yeah, so years ago when I was in college, they were a lot bigger. I don't know
even when I played like 2 or 3 years ago, they were much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot lower than they are now. I mean, I remember when I was in college, let's say 5 years ago, you won a e-golf tour event, you're winning 40 or 50,000, and this year, if you're winning one, it's between 16 and 20,000. But the drop off's very heavy. Second place is probably half of that, and
not to mention the entry fee's the same.
Right. If you're not in the top 10, you're really not making any money. And if you play top 10 golf in the e-golf tour or any of the mini tours, you're playing good golf. I mean, those guys in the top 10 in the e-golf tour, I would say would make the cut in a PGA event or be darn close. I mean, it's just so deep. Everyone's so talented. And, sometimes you got to shoot, 20 under to win 4 rounds. And I don't care who you are, where you're playing, it's a lot of birdies. So competition's high, but there's other single event state opens that aren't necessarily mini tour, tours, but they're mini tour events. There's the Waterloo Open, which is in Waterloo, Iowa. I think that maybe had one of the bigger purses. I think it was maybe $200,000 purse. First place check was $50,000. Second was maybe 20s. And that one was actually a little cheaper to get into. So that was a great purse this year. It was a 3-day event. But yeah, they've just really, really dropped off, and, you can make the cut and be losing money.
Justin, didn't Matt shoot 62 in that Waterloo Open this year?
Yeah, Matt shot, I think it was 2 years ago, Matt Rouse shot 62 at Waterloo in the first round, which is 10 under, which is a good round. It's kind of a park course, got a couple par 5s, a couple drivable par 4s, and Matt was in the lead after round 1. I think he had a top 5 finish there, so that was a good check for him.
I remember that. And so, you've got these purses that have dropped off. What can you say? And I know you guys have been talking to a lot of mini tour golfers and looking at their expenses, and I know this is a big part of the website. And you guys break it down in a lot of the different profiles that I've read through. What's kind of a typical expenditure as far as dollar-wise over the course of a year for a mini tour golfer?
For a year, it depends, and what we're trying to offer too is for web.com guys, web.com tour guys. And that would probably run you around $75,000 if you're on the web.com tour. So you're just one step away from the PGA Tour. Mini tour guys, I would say it's probably between 50 and 60,000, depending on what Q schools you're going to do. If you're going to commit to playing, if you commit to playing a mini tour like the Adams Tour, the eGolf Tour, I mean, your expenses are going to be higher. Versus if you're playing smaller events with state opens and things like that. It's just expensive, and it's gotten more expensive with less money available because these tours are bought, so you're having to travel further. You're having to travel to Canada. You're having to travel to, Latin America to play. So, the flights over there aren't cheap. And you have to have a caddy on those tours versus mini tours you do not. So that's an extra expense. Your caddy could be making more money than you in some cases. So that, I would say between 50 to 75, just depending on kind of where you are and what you play. Cause Q schools, I think web.com Q school was a little over 5,000 to enter. But that's just to play. That's not, to get to all 4 stages and stay in hotels and food and PGA Canada, and I think PGA Latin America is just one stage, and I think it's just 2,000 to enter, and so you're spending a lot of cash to put it up.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's traveled that's listening knows how whenever you're on the road, you just end up spending money on things that you know, eating wise, lodging. I mean, it just seems like the bills just keep rolling in, and it's amazing. And you guys are doing this week in and week out, depending on how often you're playing and how many events you get in. Now, we've mentioned Q School quite a few times, and Van, I'm going to let you speak to this. Can you just kind of explain what Q School is, and then also some of the changes that have happened over the past few years that have really kind of shaken things up as far as, being able to get on the PGA Tour versus being able to get on the web.com?
Van, do we have you?
Yeah, Jeff. I mean, changes have been very frequent in the past couple of years. You guys still can't hear me?
No, we're good now.
You guys there? No?
Yeah,
right.
we're good.
Sorry, man. Having difficulties. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Q School has changed rapidly in the last couple of years. No longer can you now go to school and get on the PGA Tour. So it goes, Q School feeds directly into the web.com tour. And there's, Justin played in pre-qualifying this year, and then there's first stage, second stage, and then, ultimately the final stage. But, I mean, it's a grind going through Q School. And like Justin said, you have to put the money up front, and there's no guarantee on anything to even get through the first stage. So it's just a grind in general.
And I've actually heard of guys, because of the expenses, because of how much it costs, and how much of a grind it is going through web.com, Q School, and how high you actually have to place even in that final stage in order to get any real starts and get a consistent start. Some guys are just deciding to then take the money that they would spend on Q School, forget about that, and start working more towards, let's just get me in these Monday qualifiers. Right. What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Yeah, it's I've always been somebody that's done Q School, because I felt like my game was right, and that's kind of why we're playing there, is to kind of test ourselves and to get to the next level. And Q School's, it's the fastest and best way to get to the next level. But I completely understand guys taking that money and using it otherwise. It's a smart move. You got to play with the budget you have, and you got to be smart with your money. And those Monday qualifiers, you play well. Look at what Jordan Spieth did. He didn't get through Q School, and he's got on the President's Cup team. Now that was special, but it's it's possible. So for sure, I mean, there's different avenues, kind of how guys choose to spend it.
Yeah, you kind of see that story. It seems like almost every year where one guy somehow just kind of that Cinderella story. He makes it into one event. He does well, places, top 25, moves on to the next event, and Jordan Spieth is just the epitome of that whole story, and it's been pretty cool to see that. But I'm sure that's a pretty difficult decision for any of you guys to make. Well, let's go ahead and let's get into the big topic of conversation, which is the site that you guys have created, ProUKnow.com. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and speak to it. Van, I'll let you kind of speak to it. We are having a little bit of difficulty every now and then hearing your audio, so if it gets a little too crazy, we'll go ahead and just kind of have Justin take over. But go ahead and let us know what ProUKnow is all about, and what the background story is.
Awesome. Well, the background story, Jeff, I said previously that, I was trying to come up with different business ideas, and I knew that, I still wanted to be involved in golf. And, I was looking around at different things, and I came up with, the crowdfunding is the industry that's growing. It's literally doubled every year, and was a $5 billion industry last year. So, and I was like, who would I rather have as my business partner than Justin? We've known each other played golf together in high school. We've been friends now, Justin, for over 11, 12 years, I think. So, and it was a perfect fit because Justin as well is still playing on the mini tours. So he has everyday contact with all the players that, we kind of want to recruit to the site. And I still know a bunch of guys from when I played as well. So it was a natural connection for us to really get involved with it. We've, in crowdfunding, for those who obviously don't know, we've run into a lot of people that haven't really known what crowdfunding is. And it's just basically building a campaign. A lot of businesses use it to get product prototypes out early, but you get a crowd behind you, for a campaign for a player, and instead of getting 5-6 guys at the country club to put in money for the professional for usually equity out of their career, instead we're giving a larger group of people an option to help out the player. We found out that, people really generally want to help these guys. Like Justin can attest to, a lot of times you go on the road and families offer you to stay in their homes and, to cook meals for you. And it's really a community, but it's kind of awkward either asking for money sometimes, or if people want to help you along the way, you don't really have a place to tell them to go to contribute or give you money. And no matter how you cut it, money is kind of a tricky topic. So ProUKnow emerged that we thought we could really help players get the funding necessary for their careers without giving up equity in their careers, right off the bat. So, and just basically connecting the pros with a larger network, than they thought they had. I mean, it's the whole 6 degrees of separation kind of topic, is that you can reach pretty much anyone you want to. That's kind of what we want these campaigns to do, in terms of we want them to go as viral as they possibly can. Parents tell their coworkers, the coworkers then share it with others. And, through the power of social media these days, anything is possible to reach anyone. So we're really excited about ProUKnow and the possibility that crowdfunding can offer these, players, get funded for the whole year. Usually with mini tour golf, and we were talking about Q School earlier, and people deciding, well, if they need to play or if they don't have the money to play, or how they want to use their money. Well, hopefully with ProUKnow we'll be able to get all that money up front for the players, so they'll be able to know exactly their schedule even before their season starts, or they can begin planning things out so they'll be better budgeted for tournaments along down the road.
Yeah, and I think something that's really neat and that struck me originally was, every dollar counts when you're raising money. And when it is, and I only have very little experience of, understanding how this has worked and traditionally with, members of the club and things like that. But typically from what I've heard, you get, like you said, a few guys, they donate usually a decent chunk of money. But in this situation, with the rewards and different things like that, it seems like, if somebody wants to donate $100 to you, $100 is $100, and that's going to help you out. And you get, 100 people to do that, that's going to make a big difference in your career. Now, going back to the traditional way of doing it, and I know there's different ways, how does that whole equity thing work? Because I've always been a little confused about that, and I'm sure some of the listeners are. So when somebody donates money to a player, they typically give equity in is it their whole career? Is it a short portion, or how does that work?
It usually can be a shorter portion, but it just depends on how the club members and the players structure it. It really works from any situation. It differs. But, most of the time, it deals with maybe 3 years to 5 years that the backers commit to investing in the professional, and then in return the player gives a certain portion of the earnings back to the shareholders. They're basically buying shares in the player's career, and then the player keeps either enough to keep playing and money on top of that. So but it really works from different player to different player how they structure the deal with the members.
Gotcha. And so with ProUKnow, we mentioned some rewards and things like that. And for those of you, again, that aren't familiar with crowdfunding and things, if you've heard of the site Kickstarter or different things, recently on Kickstarter there was a huge story of this incredible cooler that they started funding, and it went viral, and they are, I don't know what, $10 million, over $10 million they put together. But so if you get a chance, check out Kickstarter, and that gives you a bit of an idea too. But where do the rewards come from? Is this something that you guys put together, that the player puts together himself or herself?
With the rewards, we wanted to try to make things as easy on the players as possible, with giving them pretty much free reign of what they want to offer as well. We have a ProUKnow line of apparel that we offer the players to when contributors contributed their campaign. They can give our apparel as an option. We have hats, T-shirts, polos, and then we added a Bluetooth speaker because that's been really popular with club members playing music while they're playing golf these days. So we had that line of apparel for the players, and that way they don't have to worry about shipping. They don't have to worry about the production of everything. We take care of everything. Once the sponsor contributes to the players campaign, we have that information, and then we ship everything directly to the sponsor. So the player doesn't have to worry about that while they're out on the road or, wherever their location they may be. So we take care of that avenue. And then we like to call our other section unique perks or unique experiences that players can offer, whether, whatever they have to offer to the campaign. We have one lady, Natalie Sherry, who splits time between the LPGA Tour and the Symetra Tour. She knows Karen Stupples. She's a Golf Channel analyst and was the 2003 or 2004 Women's British Open champion.
Yeah, 2004.
2004. So, and she's offering to play golf. Her and Karen Stupples will play golf with two of the sponsors. So just unique experiences that the player, can bring to the table, whether it be lessons. They have offers for corporate golf outings. Well, they'll go and, give a lesson to the, company and then maybe sit on the tee box and hit drives for every group that comes through. Whether, they take 3 guys or ladies out to the country club with them wherever they belong, have a nice day out there. So there's a variety of rewards we let the player offer. I mean, you could imagine, crazy rewards. It's, week-long Masters tickets if the player has those available, or just let the player use whatever they have best available to them.
Well, you forgot to mention probably the highest ticket item on there, which is the 2 sessions at Elevated Performance in St. Louis that Matt Rao is offering on his campaign. Which
See, I was gonna let you offer that.
Well, Matt's got it up there. You can check out Matt's profile and kind of see how that all works. And, of course, go on and check Justin's profile out as well. Now, Justin, you guys have first you have a couple big faces that are kind of supporting you guys and helping you guys out with promoting this a little bit. And then you've got some folks that are on TV right now that are actually on the site with campaigns as well. Speak to that if you could.
Yeah, we have Webb Simpson on 2012 U.S. Open champions endorse us on the site. He's really excited about what we're doing, providing golfers that might not have the chance to play, the opportunity to get funds and play. He's really excited about that. We have 2 participants on Big Break Myrtle Beach. Charlie Harrison, who absolutely bombs the ball. He was a teammate of mine at Wake, and he easily hits it 50 by me if he connects. He's a fun guy to watch hit the ball. Christian Heavens, who's from East St. Louis, went through the First Tee program here in St. Louis. He's got a campaign up there as well. We have Natalie Sherry, who is a LPGA player. She won the 2009 ACC championship, I think it was. She's up there. She had status in the LPGA Tour last year. And now it's the same thing. She's looking for fun. She's caddying and working right now and scraping together money as she can to play. Michelle Shin, she won ACC's in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Sorry, that's ACC in 2010. She's played in Women's U.S. Open, I think in 2009. She's a great player. Matt Rao, obviously, and offering the workouts at Elevated Performance. Who else do we have on there, Van? Am I missing somebody?
Yeah, Thomas. We just launched Thomas's campaign. Yeah,
sorry. Thomas Birdsey. He won the Texas State Amateur 2012, which is a good tournament to win. That's a tough one. He was also a teammate of mine at Wake Forest University, and then my campaign's up there as well. So we have a strong group of players. We have some people that are still going to come out with some campaigns. So we're excited. I mean, the players have had nothing but positive things to say because funding is just a common problem. You were talking about players, how unglamorous it is, and I was thinking about a common question everyone asks is, where are you staying this week?
Mm-hmm.
And the stories you hear people say, I mean, even this past year at Q School, Jace Long, who played out at Missouri, I was asking him where he was staying, and he was staying at a motel that was spitting out water that looked like Diet Coke. It was just like brown, and the electricity's in and out. And I played with one guy and asked him where he was staying, and he was staying in a tent. So you kind of see everything, guys living out of their cars, living out of tents. So this is a common problem among any player, looking for money to help support their career. It's not that they're not far away. You just need that the money to be able to play into tournaments. We heard a really cool story Van and I did the other day about Kevin Streelman, where his sponsors had kind of backed out on him, and he didn't, think he was going to make it. And one guy took a chance on him, and Kevin Streelman won. I think, did he win once or twice last year? I know he won up at Hartford, making 8 or 9 birdies in the back nine. And so these players they're just looking for a chance to compete. So we're excited about providing that opportunity to get funded.
Absolutely, and one of the reasons that I was really intrigued by what you guys are doing is, the whole idea behind 18strong.com and the podcast is looking at how golfers can achieve the highest level of whatever their game may be, whether they are a country club golfer or, they're just a high school kid, working on their game, or they're on the mini tours or web.com or whatever. But, what are the things that you guys can do to take yourselves to the next level? And part of that, obviously, is my background is the fitness side. Part of it is the mechanics side. But part of it also just is the financial side, the bones behind, can you afford to play in that tournament? Because if you can't afford to play in the tournament, you're not going to place well because you're not going to be there to play. So having that, and then also having the peace of mind that you do have some funds in the bank where, hey, I'm going to be able to play these next 10 tournaments because I've got the money in the bank thanks to my campaign and thanks to the people that are backing me. So I think that really kind of speaks to, all the different facets that come into play when guys can get to that next level because they have all those different pieces in place. Now, when you are out on the road, what kind of workouts and facilities do you even ever have access to, if you do? And, how important is that to your game right now when you are, kind of traveling week to week and struggling to either pay the bills or find a hotel, or you're rooming with buddies, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a toss up. You never really know what you're going to get. Some of the tours kind of will provide, workout facility discounts for the week. Some of the golf courses, the clubs we play at, they'll have facilities, and then you have the typical kind of hotel, workout facility. What's for me is big is stretching. I make sure I do that every day, and make sure your body's right, because you're sleeping in different beds and you're driving and sitting a lot. And I've had some back problems in the past, so that's a big priority to me, to make sure you stretch. And I make sure I do a little cardio, because you don't want to be tired out there in the course. So that's kind of typically, what I'm doing, especially out there, when you're traveling week to week. You want to make sure you're fresh and your body feels good. That's huge, especially when you're in the road for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, especially when you're sleeping in a tent or in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
You better be able to bounce back pretty quickly. All right, well, both of you guys have played very high-level golf, and so I'd like to ask, first of all, how's the game doing? But also, I want to get a little bit of advice from you guys. Basically, what's the best piece of advice that you've either been taught or that you've learned while being out on the golf course?
Let's see. Justin, do you want to take this one, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, let's see. I was lucky enough, I got my amateur status back, I guess about a year ago. So I'm competing in a lot of the amateur events in St. Louis. We've got great amateur golf here, so it's very competitive for me. And then occasionally I'll go to Springfield or Kansas City and play in some of the Missouri golf events as well. So it's good to get back in competition. A lot of people probably don't know, if you're turned professional, you have to wait at least a year once you stop playing and apply for your amateur status back. So I was able to get that back last year, and so I've really enjoyed amateur golf again. In terms of the best advice I can give, it's honestly pretty cliche, but after you hit that bad shot, because golf is just a series of bad shots, but how do you improve upon that, and how can you take positives out of that? Because really, every shot stands on itself. So you really kind of have to go from, if you hit a bad shot, you have to realize that has no bearing on the next shot that you hit. So you have to go through your routine. I'm sure Justin would agree with me. Every golfer needs to have a routine that you can repeat pretty much over and over again. It gives you some consistency in your game. But that would be my thing, is that really no shot, just because you hit a bad shot before doesn't mean you're going to hit a bad shot again. Every shot stands on its own merit.
Gotcha. And how about you, Justin?
Yeah, there's kind of three things that I always kind of come back to. One of the things is what Coach Haas taught me in college, and it's pretty obvious, but it kind of just really helps me mentally when I'm playing. Is he told me, your golf round basically comes to 6 moments. You're going to hit 60, 70 shots, 80 shots, whoever's playing. But it really comes down to 6 moments and what you're going to shoot. Whether you get a certain shot up and down, whether you're going for a par 5 and 2, whether you're taking a risky shot with water out of bounds on, making a certain putt, that gives you momentum. It has about 6 moments in that round. And you normally know when those 6 moments are while you're playing. So when I get to those moments, I kind of just try to slow down and not put pressure on myself, but really just capitalize on those moments. So I think about that, and my golf instructor, Jack Lumpkin, who works down in Sea Island, he told me one day, and I'm a pretty straight hitter. I don't normally hit too many bad shots. And he told me just one day, he goes, you're never going to hit it well enough to hide a bad short game, but you can have a good enough short game to hide a bad day of hitting it. And that really stuck with me, because especially on the levels we're playing, the guys hit it well. Everybody when they hit a good shot is about the same, but you're going to hit those shots that aren't as good. And can you make par from there? Can you chip in every once in a while? And those par 5s when you go in 2, are you going to get up and down or not? So, the short game is cliche as well, but that's what it comes down to. Those are your scoring clubs and where you're going to really improve on your game, especially at this level where it's, a half a shot a round turns into 2 shots a tournament, which is, a big difference.
Nice. All right. And we're very big on setting goals, having a plan of attack. So Justin, I'm going to ask you this, since you're, still out there grinding, what's your big goal for your golf game?
My biggest goal is, next year I'd like to be on a tour that provides world ranking points. I didn't get through Q School this year, so I'd like to be on the PGA Canada tour, so I can earn some status. That's the big goal. But I like to have those big goals as well. But I'm really trying to focus on little goals. I'm trying to get better each and every day at what I'm doing. Be specific in the game plan and really control what I can control. And kind of get lost almost in the process of what I'm doing. And I feel like if I do that, a lot of good things are going to happen.
That's fantastic. I love that mentality. Just one step at a time, small goals lead to those big goals in the end. That's
definitely.
Awesome. All right, guys. Before we wrap it up here, I want to make sure that we give ProUKnow the time that it's due. So how can I and how can the audience get the word out? What can we do? How can we follow you? Where can we follow you? And, what can we do to spread the word of ProUKnow?
Well, yeah. So you can visit our website, ProUKnow.com, and it's PROUKNOW. So just with the U. The letter U. And, sorry. And you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ProUKnowGolf, or just look us up at ProUKnow there. And Twitter, it's at ProUKnow. So we have all those avenues of communication. We love to do social media. Justin and I were on social media tonight, blowing up for the big break. We were talking about our two guys on the big break there. So we Justin and I check social media every single day, if not every single hour. So that's you can definitely contact us in any way there. And to get the word out, we'd love for you to share ProUKnow, whether it be word of mouth, email. You can go to ProUKnow and you can click on campaigns, and there's ways to share it on Twitter and Facebook right on the site. So we try to make it pretty easy. We just want people to realize that, all these players are extremely talented, but, they still need the funding to be able to achieve their dreams.
And I would just like to add real quick. I mean, I would just encourage people too to go on to ProUKnow.com and check out. I mean, each of these players is very talented, like Van says, but they're all so different. You've got such a different story to each of them. And a couple of the players have videos where you could get to know them, and they wrote a little something about them, so you can get to know them in two or so minutes, and just get to know these players and maybe become, a part of their team. It'd be pretty cool if one went on to win, and you can say you helped them out, whether that was $20 or $50 or whatever. So go check them out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting on there and reading through the different profiles, and just getting a little bit of the personality behind each player, and what they're up to and their background and what got them into golf. And like Justin, you've got a bunch of videos on your side of you swinging, but also juggling and all kinds of stuff. Picture you as a little kid with the club in the air and everything. But I also encourage the audience, if you know any tour pros, aspiring pros, share this with them. Obviously, go on there, and if you want to support a golfer, go on and support them. But if you know a golfer that is maybe in the same dilemma that a lot of these guys are, and they're looking for a way that's easier for them to reach out and find somebody to help support them, let them know about this site and get in touch with Justin and Van about that as well. So, obviously on our show notes page on 18strong.com, just go to 18strong.com/ProUKnow, and I'll have all the links to their Twitter pages, their personal feeds, and all that stuff, as well as the ProUKnow Twitter site, our Twitter page, Facebook page, all that stuff, so you guys can share it. I'll be posting some stuff on Twitter and sharing and retweeting and stuff for these guys as well, because I think it's such a great site. It's such a great platform. It's going to make things a lot easier for the guys that are out there, like we said, grinding it out. So what's the hashtag that you guys have on your site that you guys...
It's Join the Golf Journey. That's kind of what we're trying to promote is, people get to kind of get the inside, behind the scenes experience of these players. So join the golf journey. It's a long one, but golf's a long game. So
we only get 140 characters, guys. Come on.
Yeah, true.
No, all right. So guys, help support these guys. They're doing awesome things. Thank you guys for coming on the show. I really enjoyed meeting you, and with the St. Louis connections that we all have, hopefully we'll actually get to meet in person one of these days. And come by, check out Elevated Performance if you ever want to see the facility, and look forward to talking to you guys in the future.
That sounds great. I definitely need to get back in the gym, so I might see you sooner than later.
Sounds like a plan. All right,
yeah.
fellas.
Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
You bet. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, I want to thank Justin and Van for coming on the show, and really applaud you guys for everything that you're doing. This is kind of a big undertaking, and I know that the guys on the tour are really going to appreciate it. Justin, and obviously this is something you're doing for your own career, but I feel like this is going to be a game changer for how a lot of these tour players go out and are able to raise money and basically kind of create some financial stability, or security, I should say, when they know that they've got a year's worth of events and fees and travel expenses and everything ahead of them. So congrats on the site. I know that you've got a lot of great people supporting you guys, and it's just going to keep growing from here. So I think it's pretty cool. And if all of you guys listening, if you know anybody that's on the mini tours, or is getting ready to launch into a professional career in golf, or you have any interest in supporting or funding any of these golfers, by all means, please get on their site, ProUKnow.com. Share it on your Facebook page, Twitter feeds. Share this episode so people can understand what these guys are doing and what they're trying to accomplish as far as changing the way that these guys earn some money. So thank you guys again for everything that you do and for the game of golf. I think that's pretty awesome. And again, reach out with the hashtag on Twitter, Join the Golf Journey, which is the one that they're using for ProUKnow, and help support these guys, again, to spread the word. Thank you guys for listening. Another great episode. These guys are great. Justin, good luck with all of your golf goals and, moving forward with your career. And Van, good luck in law school. And once again, 18 Strong listeners, greatly appreciate you guys being here. All the reviews and feedback and questions that you guys have been giving me has been great, and we've got a couple great guests coming up. I just had an incredible interview just this evening for next week's episode as well, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook. Go ahead and follow Jeff Pellizzaro at Twitter or on Twitter, and let me know what kind of questions you have. Let me know what kind of guests you want to get on here. So, thanks again, everybody. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf. We'll check you later.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.